possibility. I would be very surprised to see the set come out. Not nearly picked as much in top lane these days, but it will be the Ornn for Gen X. So welcome home to the top lane, my friend. No longer is it spicy when you get to play a melee champion or a tank. It's just stock standard here.
It also does help with some of the engage tools that they're missing, and set is locked in. Jungle set?
Jungle set?
Jungle Ornn?
Jungle. We're going to have to wait and see, Frostgurn. That's a very surprising twist. We wanted SK Gaming to show us something. I didn't expect it to be something crazy in the pick ban phase, but there it is.
And now what's it going to be for Alphari, saving him last pick? If it is a traditional tank matchup, across on that Ornn, he can maybe go for a bruiser, try to break it, but then eventually get outscaled. And it looks like that's what he's going to do.
Ooh, all right. Now, I am going to get my Aatrox in a Gen X game, but not in the hands of Gen X himself, Alphari. This is very much, Frostgurn, as you said, an Origen composition. We've got solid, reliable top laner, solid, reliable mid laner, solid, reliable AD carry, solid jungler. It just feels all around very solid, very safe. They've got some good wombo combo options. They've got good disengage overall. It feels quite flexible, whereas SK Gaming are throwing us some curveballs here in the draft.
And this is kind of what's to be expected from week one. I think the analyst desk talked about it earlier, that usually when you don't really know what's going to come out of your opponent, you don't have that much tape to go off of them, just scrims, and maybe these teams haven't faced each other in scrims at all. It's more about playing your game. It's not about countering what your opponent's going to go. It's going back to basics and making sure that you're comfortable.
But for now, Trick has busted out the set jungle before. According to Pro Builds, it was 1 month ago, and he played Phase Rush set jungle. So that's some old tech, but potentially some powerful tech. I believe there have been a few nerfs since then, but maybe he can show us something crazy today. Remember, the story for OG, this should be the split that they go to Worlds. Their eyes have always been set on that goal, but in order to do so, they have to continue, and they have to refine and build on what they had last season. Whereas on the opposite side for SK, we want something. We want signs of life. We want a new identity. We want to know where SK stands after these changes.
Especially in a standout player like Crownshot. We already talked about how we wanted him to get the Ezreal. He's got it this time around. Zazie making his debut across from Nukeduck from the comfort of his own home and bringing out the Azir. Feels like everything is aligned. Is going to go that true tank. I almost think it's like a budget Skarner. Like,
Budget, yeah.
He just grabs people. He sprints at
Sexy
them.
budget Skarner. Is that what we're going to see today? It is time. The wait is over. It is SK versus Origen. DJ, play that voice clip thing where she goes, aha!
We made it. We are on the rift and already out the gate. Something sneaky is afoot.
Yes. You know, I love cheese. I love cheese in League of Legends more than anything because it's how I win the only games that I win in League of Legends. But sadly, this cheese for SK will not pay off. They were hoping to catch him sleeping. Does not work, but a good first look from SK, just trying to get something right out the gate.
Actually using a really deep ward. So Limit ran into that brush, has placed it down, and then changed for a sweeper.
Yeah.
Which isn't entirely uncommon, but obviously something has been happening for him to acquire vision that deep down the lane to keep track of where Destiny and Upset are, as maybe it's this.
Ooh, I figured it out, Frostgurn, bear with me. Here's my 5-head analysis for you. Okay, so Trick is starting on the top side. He's going to jungle to the bottom lane.
They're going to clear the bush and set up a gank.
They're going to clear the bush and they're going to set up a gank. And so why I like this, despite the fact that if it's that obvious, it's maybe a little predictable, is because SK is a very, let's call them a new team, all things considered, with their solo laners put in. I like seeing a lot of, no pun intended, set plays.
Well, they've already gotten their cheeky little first shot fired as Limit and Crownshot slapped Destiny there, and now they're contesting the wave.
Destiny going to go for it. He's going to get hooked there, lose out on that Aftershock bonus, and take an extra auto attack on the way out. So very good start for SK. Of course, Ezreal notoriously strong in early levels before either champion has the opportunity to go for a first back, before Ezreal's essentially forced to buy mana and not flat AD.
Yeah, and we've heard it all the time that Nautilus is often seen as a pick into Thresh because of the animation speed on his Q versus Thresh death sentence. As he winds up, Nautilus can just snap grab him, but in that exchange in particular, Limit actually used the Q after Destiny to pull him back. And like you said, the Aftershock went down, and now they're just continuing to tag as they need to get this wave to crash.
I haven't seen the sweeper used either quite yet, but they can use it to set up Confident Vision as Trick moves down to the bottom side of the map. Of course, Trick can just go back, can reset, can go elsewhere. Once again, you call him the teamfight jungler. We don't really know Trick to be the hyper-aggressive early-game jungler. If you think back to his spring performance on Lee Sin, we were stunned to see it, and it worked out kind of as expected. It was not effective for him. The Karthus that we saw from him, I believe, looked a little bit better, more farming, more, as I said, teamfight-oriented. So we have to see where the set fits into the Trick puzzle.
Yeah, and maybe there was a moment there where SK Limit and Crown Shot were trying to get an early bounce and maybe get the wave a little bit closer to the tower to, as you were calling, set Trick up for an early gank onto the bot lane. But because it kind of got held in front of their tower, it's not quite there. So Trick uses his sweeper, moves through, makes sure that he's not walking through a ward on Try or River Brush, and then walks onto Scuttle. But he might be spotted by, I believe it's Nuke Duck's ward or Xerxes' ward sitting in Pixel Brush.
Good aggressive move there, coming in from Crown Shot.
Okay, this is actually really big. Set is exceptionally good at diving because of his W giving him the shield. And there's already a big wave being stacked out by Crown Shot and Limit. A level 3 dive is a classic when you have a Set.
And Upset just leaves. He just walks away. He knows if he doesn't sit under that tower, it's unreliable for Set to flash on him because there is no follow-up. So he does just walk away. So while the setup there from SK was solid, and it will earn them a tower plate, they kind of avoid disaster because OG are smart enough to just leave.
Yeah, and you are starting to see a CS discrepancy open up a little bit, but already you see the pings from Origen. They've got deep vision in on Trick's jungle. They know exactly where he's going to be pathing. And when you give that information over to a jungler like Xerxes, what does it mean when he now kind of gets the next 1 minute to a minute and a half of just knowing exactly where you are and what he's going to do with the information?
Yeah, of course, thank you to the observers for highlighting a lot of that vision you talked about. The ability to track Trick is going to be even easier now with that ward in place as well. And of course, Xerxes now back and getting the Predator boots means it's that much easier for him to set up plays. But Frostgurn, you talk about CS discrepancy on the bottom side. Upset doing his best to even that out. But on the top side of the map, we're starting to see Aatrox-Ornn matchup going as expected. It's been a while since we've seen this one, obviously, but the Aatrox clearly pulling ahead. Very easy for him to have control of this lane.
Yeah. Do want to point out, though, that Trick has been spotted. He cleared out the ward. Gragas is now going to step in, probably grab some vision onto the bottom side of the jungle since he knows that it's safe. Worst case scenario is he walks into the enemy support. And then as Upset is going to now use Misfortune's movement speed to shove the wave and then walk back into the lane and really not miss anything. They can start to contest for bottom river control, Origen, and try to secure this dragon.
And I like the itemization choice coming in here from Upset, and that we really get to see double Dorans really trying to capitalize on that early game, get a bigger advantage. I think probably expecting Ezreal to go for the tier here, but does go for the pickaxe. And as you said, Frostgurn, got a lot of players coming into mid lane. Looks like they're trying to give Zazie that warm LEC welcome, but gonna have to clear out the vision first.
Also checking to see if they can find Limit. Really good coordination from Origen right there to have multiple members if they did find Thresh. You know, you have the engage from the Nautilus, you've got the follow-up from Misfortune and Gragas behind, so it's basic, but it was clean.
Yeah.
As round 2, is it gonna be the Lantern?
It's a classic Flash, Flay, Lantern gank.
He's gonna set it up. So obviously you want Flay into Facebreaker.
Yeah, essentially the double Flay. But of course, difficult to pull off. Upset, very easy for him to walk out or cleanse Flash out, and Destiny can input buffer the Nautilus hook. If it is in air as he gets pulled back by CC and then hits a wall, he will get pulled through despite the fact that he has already been locked up. So difficult to play around that one, so instead the name of the game is going to be taking these Drakes for the side of SK.
And both teams are really just playing for waves right now. SK, when they were threatening the initial dive bottom, now playing off of the mid lane priority wave. Origen, when they initially peeked in onto this lower river with the dragon because they had the wave control of bottom. Here's the skirmish.
Now leaping forward, they're going to try to shut down Xerxes, but OG has a lot of members here in the area. Zazie now coming in, but he's not too strong. Crown Shot now in OG territory. One more Mystic Shot should be able to find him the kill. He's going to get first blood now coming in. This order to the backside. This is massive now for SK. They're turning this fight out. Bari wants to fire it back, but Shrek now coming in. take him down. That's the hook. How far is he going to go out of this one? A big dunk, and he's going to manage to get a kill on Trick. That's going to reset on the ultimate. Now he's on the chase. Infernal Chains. Where is it going to go? How long is that cooldown? Nuke Duck can't speed him up. Gen X going to give his life for this one. Buy space for the rest of the team to make it out. Or is he? Limit with an excellent lantern to ferry him to safety. And Destiny will walk away empty-handed. Takes a death sentence to the face, but a good trade for SK.
But while it is 2 for 2 and the Dragon picked up for SK, check out what's happening now after the reset. Upset is already moving towards the top side of the map. Ezreal, slow. Crownshot was actually walking towards bottom. Is going to be late to this play. And it's not necessarily just for Herald. It's just to get that tempo advantage back on the map. I want to see what happens to Upset here because he has Flash. And I didn't quite see what happened to him on the bottom of the fight. Shout out to Crownshot. Really nice flash. Okay, just CC locked.
Yeah. That was a lot of flashes. We had a flash from Ezreal, a flash from Thresh, and it looks like in the end there a flash from Azir. A lot of things burned to shut down Upset. Alfari was praying for the cleanup, but sadly not quite fast enough to chase down all these members of SK. And heads up use of the Thresh Lantern, as well as the Ornn's unstoppable effect there on the Bella's Breath to just walk that one out.
And again, we've now set up our lanes. Upset was trying to get the cheeky tempo advantage, swapping their lanes faster. Hoping to get him over to that level 6, as now Xerxes is also sitting with his own 6.
Cast, excellent cast, just throws it out with the lantern. Gonna deny that one.
Really nicely done. Maybe there's potential that you're able to lock him down if Destiny's able to find the Q into the auto attack.
And to be fair, Crownshot, if he's quick enough on the trigger there, there's still the raw cask is not ideal. Does connect the skill shot, but doesn't work out. Destiny now pulled back. It's a little overstayed his welcome. And Trick now going in, but he's getting shredded through. Haymaker does mean that Destiny gets taken down. Trick now walking to the bush. He's on a sliver of life, but Upset's just going to have to walk away from this one. And this is a miracle from SK. I cannot believe that Trick got out of there with his life intact.
It's always that thing with Set. He's such a clinched champion because you see the low health bar and then boom, that shield comes out. That damage, the fadeaway.
I think it's so rough to play against because if you're not familiar with Set, it's so misleading because you're like, oh, I'm going to kill him. He's got 100 health. But yeah, but he's also got 1,000,000 health regen right now because he's only got 100 health left. So you really got to one-shot that guy once that shield is gone.
And as we are starting to take stock about where kind of all of this gold is falling, it's right into the pocket of the carries for SK here. Zazie and Ezreal being the primary beneficiaries of picking up those kills, where it has not gone the same way for Origen.
Absolutely has not. Good news is, kind of as expected from Alfari, he continues to build this monstrous lead, and it's of course not just the matchup, but the man playing it. Alfari, an absolute menace in terms of individual solo laning prowess. He's just about second to none. And so, going to be difficult as he continues to get stronger and stronger. And now, Limit going to be in trouble. Hook's coming in. Crownshot ready to go over the wall. Limit with no flash available quite yet. Tries to buy a bit more time with the stopwatch. Just they can't fall off and go over the wall here, but it's just going to be the reset. So while Limit does have to give up the stopwatch, he gets what he wanted, which is stopping the Herald from going down.
Really weird desync, however, from SK there, which makes sense. New roster still trying to build up the synergy. Trick was bottom side of the map when Limit decided to face check blind into River. Just needs to wait for Zazie to get the control that he was going to have with his push priority. He was first to rotate, which is why Origen very quickly took their hands off that Herald, and now this is how this is supposed to go. Trick has moved up into top River, Zazie continuing to play pressure point, Nuke Duck stuck under his tower on the Orianna, and it's now going to be a free Herald.
And I think Frostgarden, we set a lot of expectations for this game as we had an abundance of time to do so, and the thing that we wanted to see was clean control from OG, giving up nothing. I don't feel like we've gotten that yet, and the other thing we wanted to see was signs of life from SK. So I think OG have, in my opinion, and correct me if I'm wrong, let us down a little bit here in this early game, whereas SK, I think, have shown us a decent amount.
Are you willing to kill a team at 11 minutes? It's Origen, at least give them 30.
No. I'm not saying for sure. Do I still think that OG are favored to win this game? Yes, but that's because of the nameplates, not because of the scorecard. And I think that's a big deal.
I will agree with that. I think SK, it's been a little bit rough in certain situations, but I've already liked what I've seen. They have survived the lane phase. That's more than they could say about majority of their games of spring.
That said, Alfari obviously just continues to be a thorn in the side of SK. As Gen X, bless his heart, he's holding on, but the Aatrox is only going to get scarier once he finishes some of those items. We'll have to see what Alfari gets when he backs. And of course, later today, Kabe returns to the LEC. It's Misfits Gaming and Fnatic go toe-to-toe in Game 5. We're currently in Game 3. Just got one more in between before you can watch that spectacular showdown between Swedish and Danish AD carries.
And we got the chance to talk to Kabe on Euphoria. He basically hit the ground running, landed right back in Europe, got rid of the jet lag. He has been grinding it out, and he is ready to showcase his talent back on the European stage as a top side gank, potentially here.
And in a pool of talented AD carries, it's going to be a big deal. So we see Crown Shot pushing into the top side, upset left to Farm, and now Farm, now the one in trouble. I like the focus coming in here from SK. Limit will land the hook, but Trick does not want to commit. They're going to be breaking this one down. Herald used a little bit early, but they are still going to be able to grab this tower. It is going to take a frustratingly long amount of time, however, as there's just so much additional armor and magic resist on that tower at this point.
How are you feeling about the set right now, Dragos? Because we're having this conversation about how Set has kind of been playing musical chairs. That he's appearing in the support role, he's now appearing in the jungle position. And I feel like when a champion is able to be that versatile and that flexible, it tells you something about his kit.
Yeah, I think we can safely agree that Set's kit is a little bit nutso because he's a Darius, he's a Mordekaiser, he's a Garen, right? He's a Juggernaut, right? That's the class that he fits into. But this new era of Juggernauts, i.e. the Mordekaisers and the Sets, have one thing that sets them apart, and that is absolutely nutso bonkers ults. Because Darius' ult is super self-indulgent, it's useless for the team, it's only good if Darius is good. Garen's ult is the same thing, but Set, his ultimate is so freaking powerful. It's a similar story from Mordekaiser, we saw it in our first game, that if you can put him anywhere and get away with an early game where he's maybe not that powerful, the ult pays off so much that it's worth it.
And I also like the fact that by putting him in jungle roles, like, it's not my favorite. I'm not coming out in full support of the Set jungle.
Can I just say, I think our tier list is support followed by top lane, and then a distant third is jungle Set.
But I do like that they are kind of hiding him by putting him in roles like the support from maybe some of the 1v1 matchups that can cause him some issues.
Yeah. Yeah, just obviously it's a champion that's been taken down a notch a lot in terms of raw numbers after his success in pro play. So I like what we're seeing from Trick here so far. It's looked really solid, a lot of free stats, a lot of free tankiness, and he hasn't been punished by the lack of mobility that generally is the big bane of Set in a lot of these situations. That said, we are now seeing the Black Cleaver come in, so Alfari's got a nice 30% CDR. That's going to be huge. It's going to make this lane even more uncomfortable for Ornn, who's forced into a bit of an awkward situation. Bits and pieces, hasn't been able to finish the Sunfire Cape, and obviously desperately wants that catalyst just to stay healthy in lane. So top lane remains a difficult point on the map, whereas everywhere else is close to even.
We are seeing a bit of a setup gank here, though, as Xerxes slipping in behind Destiny and Upset. Snagged.
Okay. Cannot interrupt that Ezreal ult, of course, but the cast now coming out. And Crown Shot just going to E out to safety. A bit of a comedy of errors there. And now Trick is on the way in, but he's just going to protect. A lot of resources burned from the side of OG. Good news is they got double summoner spells. What did they give up? Double summoner spells, but they held on to Upset's flash. They only gave up Destiny's flash. So in the end, I think still a positive trade for OG, just definitely not the result that they wanted.
I mean, Crown Shot quick on the finger right there to immediately flash away. Back into safety, got on the other side of the cask that helped propel him there. That said, you know, missing flash on Ezreal, does it really mean anything?
When you get one for free that also does damage every, what, 20 seconds? It's a long cooldown at base these days in the early game, but as you put more points into it, it should be fine. Now the question is, for us, we were wondering about itemization for Set. We've seen Cinderhulk is obviously the standard.
Can I just...
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Can I name this the race car build?
It's going to be the race car build. We've got the Swifties. We're working on the Dead Man's Plate. We will potentially also get the other Go Fast item, which is names I have forgot. It's Righteous Glory. Righteous Glory, that's it. I do this for a living, for sure.
The movement speed off of his Q. He's got Phase Rush. He's zipping.
He's wishing he had that Yuumi from the Vitality game, so he could just really just run face first into the back line. And
obviously, when you're against a champion like Misfortune, that can be really painful. She has to plant her feet and make that ultimate count. The thing is when I play Misfortune, people tell me that she's got like long range because technically off the double up, you can like bounce it, you get like good angles. I don't feel that way. I'm like, this feels very short range comparatively to other ADCs.
Yeah, long range when we handshake on the fact that we're both here to farm minions and not kill each other. For sure, for sure, for sure.
Dragos, we're trying to distract from this.
Yeah.
Listen, it's gonna be Farmville. We're waiting for Drake. That's fine.
Yeah, and that is fine. I love the idea. This is like, in League of Legends, I feel like there's so many champions and so many situations where you're mobility checked, and it's about like, how many dashes do you have? You know, is your flash up? Blah, 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 blah. But for MF versus race car Set, it's how much raw movement speed can you get? Can you outrun each other?
How much does he want to make Upset just rage? You don't get to play the game.
Question also is if Upset is good enough at just orb walking his way out of that one, does he just die before he even gets there? That's going to be tough. Maybe he gets to proc phase rush on Destiny on the way. Limit though, fishing for the hook, and Nuktuk just going to sidestep now, trying to get a kill of his own. A lot of damage coming in from Nuktuk, but he's going to get swooped back. My God, scooped up. And if we are a Limit fan, we're going to call that baited and outsmarted. I'm going to say a bit over-aggressive from Nuktuk, however, is SK going to grab another Herald and kill the OG mid lane.
I'm sure we're going to get a look at it in the replay. That felt like it was on the pixel. Like, Nuktuk had flash and he held it because I think he was thinking, I'm going to sidestep this.
Does not pan out, though. And now we get, I think, yeah, they don't have enough resources here. This should be broken down mid lane tier 1. I can't imagine the Herald will get another charge, especially as Xerxes has Smite up, but it does now set up for easy access to Ocean. At this stage, however, maybe more likely that SK go for the reset, but with OG already backing on the bottom side of the map, it's free access to this dragon, the second dragon of the game for SK, in another game where we have Ocean Soul potentially going to a team with an Ezreal on it.
Taking a look at the replay, let's see how close this one was. Nuktuk, I actually really like it. You know, catches him over the wall, dodges the death sentence, hits him with the frozen hose, and how close is this Azir to not hitting him?
Swoop.
It was right there.
That's a big shield, dude. There's a lot of soldiers there. I don't know. I think that was overconfidence.
I
but
mean,
then
clearly
again,
the guy who died messed up. Like, no one's debating that. I was debating how close was it?
How close? Yeah, that's the better debate. Yeah, I was gonna say you're gonna be hard pressed to be convinced that I could win the argument of who knows the hitbox size is better, me or the guy who's played this matchup hundreds of times over the almost 10 years now that he's been playing League of Legends. Not a mid laner, and I would have definitely flashed that, which made me right in that one chance. But
well, maybe Nuktuk should have flashed it too.
Maybe Nuktuk should have flashed it too. But I respect that he's going for the flashy plays. He obviously looks like a hero if he pulls that one off. For now, though, we've got the kill squad. OG target in their sights. It's the Raptors. Why would I expect anything different?
It's the support. They're waiting for him to walk in looking for a ward because they've made the jungle
I
very
really
dark.
love the narrative that they're just after the jungle camps. Like, there they are.
Straight ahead.
Straight ahead. Look at them. They don't suspect a single thing.
I really would like...
Surprise! Sorry.
No, it's clever girl, if anything. It's a raptor camp. Come on.
There you go.
A Safari Gragas skin.
Oh my God, it's so good.
Why don't we have more Safari jungle skins?
That's a great question. That's where they're most appropriate. And like the ones that are most iconic are very limited.
Oh well. We are... No, you go. It's your job.
I was gonna say maybe it's because poaching isn't cool and we don't want to promote most of the things implied by the Safari skin line.
That's not your job. You're supposed to read the scoreboard and reset its expectations.
Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Okay, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, here we are. It's 1952 and counting. About to hit 20-minute mark. A pivotal point in the game, no doubt, as SK will retreat. Once again, a heroic lantern from a SK Limit.
They didn't just get that.
Safety.
They got the Alfari teleport, Dracos.
They also got the Alfari teleport. You can fill that in without making it like
Look at how
Dracos,
many,
you messed up. The mini map is on your side of the screen, Frostgurn.
Look at how many resources Origen just committed bot lane to just get destroyed by a dark passage. And now Limit grabbing Xerxes.
Xerxes up, but there it is. Gonna buy a bit of time with the stopwatch, but now it's trickle on the backside. Duncan Upset right back down. Now Upset immediately gonna flash out to safety, or just flash. That's going to get locked down, but Alfari wreaking havoc in the backline, and you cannot stop this Aatrox. Crownshot trying to get something done, but there's so much healing and the reset coming through. And, well, I was going to say the macro check, it felt like SK were coming out on top, but the skill check, Alfari is here all day, taking names left and right, and now SK got to run for the hills because Gen X is going to get stopped up. The hose connects, and now Crownshot firing some damage, laying it down. The Qs are connecting. Trick going to come over the wall. Ooh, Upset tries to fire back with an ult of his own, but SK will walk away, and good on Crownshot. They turned that fight around quite nicely.
Back and forth fight. The big thing for me, though, is the fact that Upset had to expend his flash right there. It won't be up and available for the next fight, which means that Trick should be much more successful. And even though the Misfortune ultimate wasn't the greatest in the end, Upset held it for a really long time over the course of the fight. He's probably not going to get another chance in the next fight. The idea is you snag him, you grab him, you delete him before the Misfortune ult even gets to make an impact.
It's very difficult to deal with. And Crownshot just continues to look very menacing in these fights. And of course, he's relative to a Misfortune at one of the strongest points in the game for him. The 2 items now coming through. Tons of CDR as well, more than enough to just rain Qs from afar. And while Alfari is terrifying, 2 items, 300, 158 to 230. I cannot stress again how big of a difference that is between the top laners. it's looking like it might not be enough as there are so many tools to keep Crown Shot safe here and just throwing out damage.
I mean, I think there was an issue that Origen really committed on that bot lane play, and then it kind of worked out for them, and that SK took the fight anyway into the mid lane. But I feel like Origen have so many tools between a Misfortune ultimate, between an Orianna wave clear, that they can actually just play for Alphari being really strong in kind of these isolated duels and skirmishes on the side of the map, rather than trying to chase SK around and deal with, you know, the Dark Passage, the Azir push, the Ezreal mobility.
And I gotta say, I love Crown Shot's Ezreal. I loved it back in the day because it built Gunblade, but this is obviously the very popular build these days. People love Bodurk and Death Dance, and I like that we're seeing immediate and very early Grievous wounds coming out from the Ezreal leader because he knows Alphari is the big threat, and on top of that, building towards that Death Dance, getting that sustain, getting a little bit of those extra tanky stats because he knows his role in the fight. He has the front line. He just needs to survive. And
we're seeing a lot of teams in the LEC in the kind of the first, I'm going to say, 2 big games that Ezreal has come out, really struggling to deal with an Ezreal to get onto the back line. Over in the LPL, they've actually been using Kai'Sa and Dive Threat, but I'll hold it because here comes the TP and the Ornhorn.
Genex trying to set up, making sure that he can connect with his ultimate. He's going to hit on 2. Multiple members now locked down. Limit once again setting up the Lantern to pull him back out to safety. Teamfight resets and they don't get a lot out of the Ornhorn, but now Zosie's been caught out. He doesn't have a stopwatch anymore. They're trying to get the fight kicked off, but Trick's in the midst of everything, and he is going to be able to take on the Dragon. How far he's in the back line? He's doing so much damage, but it might not be enough. Crown Shot trying to find a way and trying to find access there, but Upset manages to, quite frankly, strut his way out of that one. Could have been disaster, but at the end of the day, SK walk out with the Dragon, and that's what it's all about.
And shout out to Limit right now. That was some clean Thresh play there for that team fight, and SK they're starting to get the better of Origen.
And I'm starting to wonder, like, we look at what was traded here in the draft, right? The Ezreal's telegraph. They ban the Yuumi. They say, hey, pick it anyway. They do. They pick it anyway. And then they also get the Thresh. And then they also get the Azir. And we look at what we traded, and we have consistent, reliable picks from the side of OG, but I don't feel like we have the meta powerhouses on their side of the map.
So as I was saying kind of before the big fight, in the LPL, when an Ezreal goes through, LPL teams are stacking dive. They're grabbing things like a Kai'Sa, because basically Ezreal presses R and the Kai'Sa presses R, and then she kills him. Also got some buffs of herself. They grab things like a Nocturne. And it feels like Origen are starting to run into this problem where they don't have any tools. They can send Alphari back there, but like you said, with Crown Shot's itemization and all of the tools in front of him, he's able to just kind of dance around him, and no one can kill this guy.
Yeah, and the disengage tools between having a Thresh, an Azir ult, which for now can be used for the Ezreal, and obviously later in the game can just be used for Zazie as a lethal damage threat of his own. There's just, you have 3 incredibly good champions at disengaging a champion like Aatrox. Aatrox is not a Nocturne. It is not a Kai'Sa. You don't leap onto them. You walk at them. Very easy to peel that back when you essentially have 2 flays between the Thresh and the set.
Maybe feels like some of Origen's other issues are starting to raise their head, and they were criticized a bit for some of their slow drafting, slow reaction to things. This is a very spring Origen comp.
It's true. And the thing about spring Origen was, remember, they hit the ground running with things like Zyra Khan and with things like the Gragas. We're seeing the Gragas again here, and it's hard to doubt it when you see it in Champ Select because of how well it's worked for them in the past, especially as mentioned, start of spring. But now here, it's starting to look a lot more like a weakness. It does not look like they're ahead of the meta this time around, but maybe behind the take instead. And that's definitely not where you want to be in a game or in a super week where you're playing 3 games and 1/6 of your total season here for Origen.
It's not over, however, as we kind of enter a mid-game lull state. You can see that Origen are trying to find anyone, Zazie, but it's super easy for Azir to play side lanes with that shifting sands, as well as having access to his TP.
Yeah, we talk about this too a lot because when people think of side lane champions, they don't necessarily think of Azir, but when your opponent champion is Orianna, you're the superior side laner. You've got more tools to get in and get out of fights. Of course, against a Zed, against a Fiora, whatever. You know, Kassadin, obviously not. It's definitely not the situation that you want to be in. But in this context, Azir's excellent. There's not really anyone who can reliably lock him down and take him out of this side lane.
Which is why I like to see how much blind pick Azir that we really have seen already this day. And we already know that Azir is super strong in the meta. And the thing is people recognize him as a scaling-oriented champion. Let's be frank, Azir is still really strong on 2 items. It's not like he's missing a big window where he needs that 3rd item to turn him online. So plays a great side lane, especially with the other mid laners that are being played right now. Scales incredibly well. He's also strong in the mid game.
I mean, that's the nature of these blind pick, any blind pick champion, really. Oh, there you go. There's a play kicked off by Destiny. Excellent hook. Flash forward, very aggressive. They're going to donate that one over to Nuke Duck, and that might just be what OG need to get themselves back into control of this game. Fantastic pick. Very aggressive, and Limit was just caught unaware.
And they're approaching this tower with both Shockwave and Cask.
Crown Shot going to give them respect, immediately shifting out. We'll throw down the ult as far away as possible just to make sure that he is completely safe here. And for now, all it has costed is this mid lane tier 1 tower. But of course, as we get later, it might amount to more. Frees up OG to lay down a bit more vision. It's 27 minutes in. The next Drake, of course, sole point here for SK Gaming. And as well, the Baron up and available.
Which means that now Origen are kind of playing on two fronts. It's not only respecting the potential soul denial from SK, but also the fact that Baron is a very viable option, especially when you have the tankiness of Set and then the Azir. One of the other cool things that Azir can do is he can two-mana Baron pretty effectively.
Yeah, actually, especially with the amount of tanky members on this team and having the Leandry's Nashus build as well. But now see the play here. Zazzy coming to the mid lane, but they're walking right into the trap of OG. Destiny coming out. Will get hooked. Will not connect on his hook either. It's TP on the backside for Alfari. That's the critical point now coming in for OG. Zazzy going to set up the turret and back off, denying Alfari entrance any further into the fight. OG have made the call, and it is now time to disengage. Upset getting out some cheeky damage, though, will deny SK from pushing in any further.
But the damage has been done. That's big key ultimates. Really just Upset with his ultimate left from Origen, and they have to fight here.
Going forward, Trick on the flank, but they know he's coming. Trick flashing forward, he pulls a face breaker, he gets him back, but no, that was catastrophic. They don't have any follow-up. Crown Shot going to get pulled out to safety. Suddenly Genex is all on his lonesome, isolated off to the side, and Alfari now looking to turn things around. Big damage coming in, but they haven't taken him out quite yet. A flash out to safety, coming over the wall, turning. Now dashing out so incredibly low, but the Azir manages to clean it up. That's a shutdown onto Alfari. Maybe OG have bought enough time to take this one down. Trick. Colossal misstep costs so much in this fight, but Crown Shot's now just sneaking into the pit. Upset's here, Xerxes here, the Lantern's got to be available, Zaze as well. They don't have a jungler though. This is actually insane. This is a terrible call. Xerxes just walks in and takes it. He says, why not just gift wrap it for us?
Backs against the Origen right there. They were caught. They had to use a Shockwave defensively. It felt like the soul was going to go over to SK, but they outthink SK. They stall out long enough, they outperform them, and they managed to scrape that Drake back and buy themselves some more time.
And let's take a look at it one more time. Keynotes, obviously Alfari's TP, as well as the missed hook there from Destiny. And this is what that solid start that started SK thinking that they could really take this one.
Yeah, and then here comes the defensive Shockwave against Jinx just to pull the Ornn backwards. And at this point, I'm like, oh no, the damage has been done. It's really just the Cask and the MF ult that's left. But, you know, from smart brush play for Nuke Duck to play the top side of the fight, and then Alfari just going pretty much beast mode here, allows Origen to pull this one back. Watch Alfari play this on the back half.
So good.
Zoning away 3 members and allowing Origen to push forward with Nuke Duck and Upset to win the dragon fight.
And the thing there that you have to notice is that even when Alfari dies in the end, all 3 members are laser focused on Alfari. They think of nothing else. But for now, that's going to be the Baron picked up by SK. Confidence to kick that one off. Upset is going to use the ultimate. The thumbs up coming in for Limit. The absolute mad lad. The disrespect. I love to see it.
And it's now Baron in the hands of SK. When everyone was setting up this game, everyone's like,
I said this was the one game that should not be 50-50, that could not go either way. This is the one game, even the G2 Mad Lions game was like, oh, could go either way. The Fnatic Mystics game, I'm like, oh, could go either way. This was the game I said would for sure go in the favor of OG. There's no way. But this SK, I said they needed to show something to me. They're showing something.
But they also drafted themselves in a way to deal with Origen. Like, you know that Origen are going to be more about scaling, more about late game, more about team fights. They got everything that they wanted to try to kind of neutralize that ground there. And like, yeah, I still like some of the smart thoughts that we're seeing from Origen, how they're playing around vision, how they're trying to set up these picks. Like, Origen are trying to think their way out of this, whereas I feel like SK's composition is just better.
I completely agree. Yeah, outside of the Set jungle, which I would still pick a Gragas. Yeah, look, so here's what I will say is that, like,
listen, he's like a little zoomy truck. He just drives it Upset.
If SK had not immediately gotten that Baron when we came out of that replay,
it's tense.
It's one, it's very tense, and 2, I would have been, I think, a lot more critical of Trick, because I think Trick went for the greedy, like, flash in, you're gonna face breaker them, and immediately just gets tapped. And I think if you just flash ults there, they can maybe turn the fight, they can maybe start to shift it around. So while SK in the driver's seat, in control, looking good, hell yeah, still want to see Trick clean up a little bit, because that's a clutch moment that doesn't work out.
But I just don't even think it matters about Trick right now. Like I said, I think he's kind of like, he's like Budget Scar. He's doing the same thing. He's like zoning, he's running away, he's grabbing someone. Zazie and Crown Shot are so big right now. Limit is also having an amazing fresh game. I know his scoreline doesn't necessarily show it, but like what he's doing in team fights, the fact that he's been so on point with these lanterns, like how much have you seen these dark passages just completely absorbed from?
I think one of the only Thresh games in a long time where I've seen more lanterns than I've seen hooks, and I've been like, hell yeah, that's what I want. Because he's just so clutch. But now the Siege is coming in, fishing for an opportunity to get this one down. Honestly, excellent ward right there next to Limit from the side of OG, giving so much information just outside of the range of that control ward, and really denying that hook over the wall from Limit, as well as just making it very clear how far OG can push up without getting caught.
And it looks like Origen have survived the onslaught of the Baron. They managed to slow SK down. We kind of saw it from the Vitality and Schalke game, especially when you have these newer members on the roster, that these new teams that have reset the rosters, maybe they get a little bit nervous when they're given control, not willing to push as hard as maybe more of our established teams. So get stalled out a bit there and give Origen some more chances to try to solve this Rubik's Cube of what they're going to do with their comp, where they're going to find these picks, how can they find these successful team fights.
And Origen is not a team that you want to give more chances to. Clearly got a game plan in mind, but Trick being in the front here is going to be tough. Zooms his way away from that hook, and SK are now split up slightly, but the Lantern will take them out to safety. Zazie, of course, can dash as well. OG just trying to cut the wave.
I mean, everyone's cutting the wave. We're not going anywhere. We're just killing minions, and we've traded. We are on opposite sides.
That was also how far he's TP.
And Origen have to sit here. They've got Dragon Control, and again, they're trying to deny Soul Point, so they just want to sit here. But I think if you're SK, oh, you can't, because they'll just walk and cut the wave.
No, they'll walk and cut the wave, but look at top lane. Azir says, yeah, sure, cut that wave. We've already prepped top wave. He's moving in. He's got two waves behind him, as well as a cannon creep, and they'll say, you can take the dragon, you can deny a soul point, you can match us up there, but we're going to take an inhibitor. And they've got 8-second recall time, so you can already see they're splitting their forces from OG because they know they have to defend the base.
Where were you when Origen misplayed a wave and got their base kicked in?
And now they're walking mid as well. SK Gaming, once again, we talked about it before, take the nameplates off. Who's SK, who's OG in this game? Tell me again, dear audience, because that was clean play from the side of SK.
Look at the indecision, too. You had Upset and Destiny peek their head to see if they were looking for a flank. You had Xerxes really wrapping around behind SK. And it's clear that in the comm, they're like, no. Like, are they going? Are they not going? When's going to be their moment? And I agree with him to pump the brakes there, because if they take that fight, they lose, it's game over. But this is Origen's really defensive style of trying to minimize mistakes, which they just made a huge one there that SK called them on. Kind of biting them in the ass. They're stalled out against a comp that outscales them very heavily.
And now, my God, it's game 2 all over again. We're in a situation where the composition, it's got all the pieces, it can win a team fight. Is it possible? Yes, it just takes a friggin' miracle. It's actually kind of a blend of game 1, game 2, because we've got the Wombo combo on the side of OG, Orion, Gragas, MF. Gragas obviously, assuming he hits a good cast and not a bad one. But that is so...
This has been Origen's play. These bushes on like mid lane, they're like, okay, here's what we do. Step 1, we place a control ward in the brush. Step 2, we sit in the bush and we wait for someone to face check as they get priority over mid lane.
They wanted us to play more like Fnatic and G2. Well, we figured it out. We'll sit in a bush and we'll hide and we'll wait. Not paying off, sadly, for OG. I respect the effort, but...
They're so focused on denying the Baron and the Dragon, though, because Baron's spawning in 30 seconds, that they keep losing position over their wave, and SK are like, that's fine, you can stand there, let's go!
Fast forward, Facebreaker, pull the Orianna back, goodbye, Nuke Duck! Now here comes the Ornhorn, kicking forward, Destiny's gonna get knocked up, they're gonna be happy with that pick, and they see Baron on the way, coming in, 7 seconds to spawn, SK gonna take that one for free, but that means it's all eyes on Xerxes. Can he take it away?
Does have a really long death timer, but he has TP. If Origen can stall out long enough, he theoretically could TP back, but they wave the white flag.
They're gonna hold out for another day. And at what point is it just the last white flag? You only get so many more days. You can't just keep going, okay, we'll fight you tomorrow. Eventually your Nexus is dead. I guess they're gonna fight for soul point in 2 minutes?
They have to.
I mean, but for SK, it's so easy, right? I think you can put Azir mid lane.
That's the story of this game. For SK at this point, it's so easy. The only thing that's stopping you is the fact that it's SK. But so far from this game, I'm seeing a great performance from Zazie on the Ezreal, or excuse me, Azir, just doing his job. We already talked about Limit's Thresh in these team fights, how he's very much entering. SK are playing it slow, but they're beating Origen at their own game. They drafted a composition to match it.
Yeah. I feel like OG were overconfident when they were like, oh, we'll just pick the Nautilus into the Thresh. Because the CL's so good in lane, but in late game it's so difficult because he just lanterns out whoever you're going to hit. And if you're ahead, it's fine, but if you fall behind at all, it's so just not neat. It's just in a different tier entirely.
Really needs some that death cap for Nuke Duck, which he's sitting on 2 needlessly large rods.
He's going to get knocked up. There's a TP flank coming in. How far? This is it. This is the gambit. They're hoping to find the flank, but he's going to see Trick and Gen X first. Definitely not the targets he was hoping to fight. Unstoppable there. Crown shot, though, backing away. Trick in a retreat as well. Maybe they can take down Gen X, but Zazzy's on the side as well. Trick now coming through. He's going to dunk Alfari back down. They're trying to shred through Alfari before the fight starts off, but he brilliantly, he buys time with the stopwatch. So incredibly close. That cooldown is everything in that fight. It will buy OG more time.
And the solution was, again, Origen's back to the wall like they were with that initial Drake fight. They pulled the trigger on Alfari's TP and they split SK. Zazie went for that mid inhib, separated from them. They grabbed Gen X, they grabbed Zazie, and it just completely puts a stop on SK charging their base.
And I gotta say that one I talked about, oh man, I'm just really impressed. I did not see the stopwatch at all coming in from the Aatrox, but I think that single cooldown actually just saved OG's game because Trick dunks him down to the backline, Alfari's instantly dead, and that is the freest follow-up into triple inhibitor you've ever seen. But because he buys so much time and they can't finish the kill off, OG come out on top.
But the issue is that it stalled it. It didn't save it.
That's true.
That soul is coming up in 30 seconds now, and Origen know this. They are sprinting to get vision control or control over this area to, again, try to set up picks. But they're against, deep teleport, hold on.
Coming through. Very fast Trick now coming in. He's going to pull back. He's going to try to cleanse. He's going to try to move up, set through. He gets knocked back, but the CC will not be enough. Now Alfari's coming in. Jack's trying to buy as much space as he can. Ground shot free firing there. Zazie now trying to shut down the MF, but he's going to zoom away. Limit. How much more heroic can this performance get? The hook connects. Limit finishes him off. The shutdown now coming in. It's the solo laners left for OG. Maybe enough as Nuke Duck manages to snipe one, but Crown Shot does so much damage. Alfari now trying to retreat as he throws down a bit more. Buys a bit more space for the team. Nuke Duck knows he has to split. If they line up, it'll be an easy double for Crown Shot to clean up. Maybe, just maybe, they can hold on to the base, but they're going to have to concede the soul, and this has got to be it for Oscar, and there's no way. Limit coming around the corner again. No, does not see Nuke Duck, but there's no way it's enough. This is it. SK, I cannot believe it.
They are chunking through those towers. They have done it.
The knockoff, and here we go. Where were you when SK Gaming took down Origen? They're going to have a lot to explain after that one. The best start to the split that SK could possibly hope for.
And we got what we wanted. We wanted to see Crown Shot on his Ezreal, that when he was given the power, when you got him to a late game, he could show, yes, I can compete with them.